Hello malt friends and welcome to my newest episode where I'm going to do a single malt review. Today we have the fantastic Glen Scotia Campbelltown Malt Festival 2021. This is a limited edition 10-year-old unpeated Glen Scotia which was finished in a Bordeaux red wine cask for 5 months. This whiskey is unchill filtered. It's bottled at cask strength, in this case 56.1% ABV, and it has natural color, so integrity bottling, exactly what we like. So I poured here already a dram. I'm going to let it sit for a couple of minutes. As you can see here, here we have already a pretty big headspace, so the whiskey had time to breathe already in the bottle and oxidize a bit. So in this case I won't wait here too much because it is already pretty open. Before I nose it and take a sip, I would like to talk about a very interesting topic, which is the ABV, or the alcohol percentage, how the whiskeys are bottled. So many people think that all of the whiskeys are bottled with 40%, but this is not true. So in Scotland, usually they distill the whiskey twice, and after the second distillation, the whiskey is roughly around 68 or 70% ABV. Afterwards, they put into wood casks the new make spirit to mature, and after 10 years, of course, some alcohol evaporates, and this is the point where you can decide, are you going to bottle it as cask strength, so natural strength as it was in the cask, or you are going to dilute it back. And you can dilute the whiskey up to 40%, because 40% is the legal minimum. In order to be called whiskey, it has to be at least 40%. So imagine that this whiskey is 56.1%, and they could have decided that, okay guys, we are going to dilute it to 40%, they add water and they will have more whiskey, right? But is this a good thing? Well, not necessarily. It is considered that 46% ABV is roughly an ideal drinking strength, so to say, and there are people who really love cask strength whiskeys because that's just the natural strength of the whiskey. Of course, it's going to be a bit sharp, so these are pretty much advanced whiskeys in a way. So yeah, I just wanted to clear this fact that between cask strength and 40%, you can truly decide which strength you want to have for that specific bottling. For example, the Bruichladdich distillery, they bottle most of their stuff at 50%, so they just dilute back until 50%. The guys at Laphroaig, they usually prefer 48%. And there are a lot of whiskeys, for example, some of these Campbelltown whiskeys like Springbank, Kilkerran, Glen Scotia, that are bottled at 46% ABV. So keep this in mind and remember that many cases, the mass-produced whiskeys are diluted back until 40%. If you are getting a quality whiskey, a better whiskey in the sense, then it's going to be probably 43, 46 or even above, and also some cask strength whiskeys. But now, enough talking, let's get into this very nice whiskey. So Glen Scotia, as far as I know, their portfolio is mostly smoky whiskey, consists of smoky whiskeys, but this one here is unpeated and 10 year is relatively young. So I was really curious that what did they bottle? This is a limited edition. It was bottled for this year's Malt Festival in Campbelltown. And 10 years old, unpeated, very interesting, and it has a Bordeaux cask finish. So let's see, what can it offer? First, without diluting back, here is some water. I'm gonna add a couple of drops of water in a minute. So on the nose. This is just a very rich, very complex bouquet. So you nose it and you get just so many aromas. It's insane. Also, what's very interesting, despite the fact that it's 56.1 ABV, it's not sharp. It's very, very interesting. So I would never tell that this is that strong in alcohol. So the first thing that I get are berries, and especially raspberry. So a lot of fruits, but red fruits, wild fruits, wild berries, raspberry. Below that, I can feel this very clean, very transparent malty note, so it's very nice. Also some fudge, some caramel right there as a sweetness. So this nose is very fruity and also very sweet. And it's just very, very complex. You can feel that it's really, really rich. So now I'm gonna have a sip. First, neat. Wow. Explosion of flavors. So first it's sweet and oily. This whiskey has a very, very nice texture. Afterwards, there comes spicy wood kick. So even though it's just 10 years, the wood dominance, the wood influence, the cask influence is very, very strong. And it's astonishing that it's really not sharp. It's really not biting you. Those prickles, it's just not there. So interestingly, you could already drink this neat without adding any water, and this is the sign of very good quality whiskey. So it's fairly young, it has a high ABV, and yet it's very, very palatable. Now let me concentrate on the finish. Yeah. So again, a good sign. The nose and the palate, the mouthfeel comes through. So I can feel those berries, the fruits, also the caramel sweetness. Everything is there. Some spices, but it's not overpowering. It's not overwhelming. It's long. It's warm. It's just fantastic. So I really, really enjoy it. And now I'm gonna add some water to it. Okay, probably a bit more, like 2 milliliters. I will just let it there for a minute. And yeah, you can see that the color, I didn't talk about this, about the appearance, but the color is fairly dark. So you can definitely see that there is an additional cask beside the ex-bourbon maturation. This 5 months wine cask finish gives it a very nice color, and also it's very oily. But this oiliness is also because of the high ABV. So you can already see in the glass that this is just a very, very nice whiskey. So now I added some water, I waited a bit, and now let's see again on the nose. Okay. So now the berries are more in the background, and on the front I get even more sweetness, caramel, fudge again, some vanilla, and just something that I cannot really describe, but it's really really characteristic for Glen Scotia. Let's have a sip. Again, I diluted it back a bit, but it didn't lose any complexity. So it became a bit sweeter, I get some vanilla, I get some butterscotch or milk chocolate. This fruitiness is rather in the background, and also this woodiness, this spicy woodiness is turned down a bit. It's more subtle. And on the finish, I still get that rich complexity of the flavors. So everything comes through. And this is just fantastic. And I have to say that I bought this for roughly 60 euros, and this is a steal. This is a robbery, and I'm quite sure that if I find one more, I will buy it, because it's just Integrity bottling. It has a higher strength, so it's full of flavors, and it's just incredibly complex. I really like this Glen Scotia expression, and I truly enjoy this fruitiness, this touch of fruitiness combined with the sweet caramel tones and this very nice wood influence. So very complex whiskey, has a very nice texture, very nice body. And this is also really important because it's one thing that you get the aromas and the flavors, but the way these flavors are delivered to your tongue, the mouthfeel and the overall tasting, it's just very nice. So whiskey is much more than just the aromas and flavors. It's also how it is presented, how you can experience it, how you can really accept it. So I enjoy this. I will give this a very high mark, and in a second you will see the flavor map. I think this is a whiskey that also beginners can try. Of course, don't forget to dilute it back because it might be a bit sharp at the beginning, but I truly recommend it. So slàinte, and see you in 2 weeks with the new whiskey review.